Welcome to the JAWS Workload Analytics demo. So, kind of like in our other presentations, we've talked about additional tabs on the JAWS Workload screen. So here we go. We have dashboard, monitoring and analysis, reporting and admin. I'm going to work from the analysis tab to the left, kind of to lay the groundwork of how JAWS actually works, gives you a better understanding. So what we're looking at here is the analysis tab, and the analysis tab is actually a completed job stream. Like we mentioned before, a job stream is a target job and all of its predecessors and successors. Here we have long_7, and if I actually open this all the way up, you can see there's boxes inside boxes and jobs inside boxes, so it's very large. But I can actually close this down to make it a little more manageable so you can see. A couple things on the screen I want you to notice. On the left-hand side are what we call business areas. As mentioned before, buckets of work. We have finance, we have equity. So what that is just a container or a bucket or a folder of job streams that mean things to your business. So if you have all payroll jobs, you can put them in there, all first shift, EMEA, geographies, whatever works for your business. And like we mentioned before, you can have multiple or the same job stream in multiple business areas. So let's take a look at what we have here now. A couple things I wanted to show you on the screen is the blue line, dotted blue line, and the dotted red line. What the dotted blue line is the actual average duration based on history. The red line is what we call the drop-dead time, the target time, and that time can be specified, system calculated, or a duration can be specified on a specific job stream. So if we take a look at this here, we can see that we also have a run date and run time. Now, as I mentioned, analysis tab is what has already completed. It's history. And we're looking at 4/12/2006. Well, I can actually bring this down and go to maybe Monday, April 4th, and I can double-click on that, and it'll bring up the run of April 4th. Now, a couple interesting things here that you can do once this one loads from the 4th. You have the ability to actually pop out the windows so you can look at these side by side. And the way to do that is there's a little check mark or a little arrow here on the top of the analysis tab where I can actually click it and check out 4/4/16's run. And then what I can do is go back to the current run or the last run that I have in my database, which would be the 12th, and I can pop that window out. So what that gives me the ability to do now is look at these two runs from two different days side by side. We can compare if in fact there are any differences from one day to the next. We can also do this in reports as well, but it's always nice if somebody asks you, hey, how come it was on time on the 4th, but we were actually late on the 13th of this run, 4/13/16, not 4/12. No, I'm right. It started on the 12th and ends on the 13th. And why are we late? Okay, so it gives you the ability to actually pull these up side by side and see what's actually going on. So, in a couple of the presentations, we talked about a lot of the button bars across the top. So we do here is the critical path button bar. Critical path is also determined based on the longest running job, which needs to be completed to actually hit my target long_7 job. So you can see here, these can actually change. These are all the jobs. This is a pretty straightforward one in a critical path that need complete to actually hit my target job. Now, one example here is we have the box 01 and box 02. I mean, they're predecessors and successors, but again, the way we determine the critical path is based on the longest running job, and it looks like the underscore box 01 ran a little longer than the underscore box 04. If that was reversed, the underscore box 04 could become the critical path. Very dynamic. And again, you can turn these button bars on and off. The average duration bar, I can turn that on and off. We discussed the average duration bar being, this is the average duration of that job. If it extends a little beyond the rectangle, like it is down here below, it ran a little better than average. And if it actually is extending into the actual rectangle, it ran a little longer. Thus, this job missed his actual SLA. So again, date and time, actual runs as well. So if you have multiple runs of a specific job stream per day, they will show up here. This one is actually a once per day. Okay, so again, all the way to the left, business areas. In the screen, Gantt view, already completed. Button bars across the top. We also mentioned if you actually hit the little icon on top, he will actually show you what the lines and icons are representing. Okay, so if you don't know what they are, you can actually just hit the little button on the top, and he will show you right here what those icons mean. It's called icon help. Okay, that's analytics at a very, very high level. So how do we actually set times? Okay, so let's take a look at the equities Hong Kong over here on the left. If I actually right-click on this and edit job stream, you'll notice we have tabs across the top. We have FN, which actually gives us the name of the job stream and the target job. I mentioned before, when you're building these job streams, give them a name that means something. By default, if you do nothing, it will be the target job. The target job will be the name of your job stream. So I highly recommend that you make a good name here, so when you actually look at this job stream, or somebody who may not be familiar with all the jobs in the job streams, they understand what they're actually looking at. Now the general tab is where you can actually add this job stream to one or more groups. So by opening this up and checking whatever business area you want, it happens to be in finance, it happens to be in Asia, you can actually click that box and this job stream will be in the business area to the left. I mentioned before, the job stream can be in one or multiple business areas. Talk a little bit about late criteria. Okay, so how do I draw this red line? 3 different ways to do it. The system calculated late criteria, that is a job stream that probably doesn't have an SLA attached to it. So this would be something I want to monitor, I want to track. It could be a very complex job stream, but you know what, there's no hard SLA. I could actually select system calculated. Then we will take the history and add 1 standard deviation to come up with the late time. For an SLA, where somebody says I need to be done, in this example, 6:46 p.m., you can actually put 6:46, 5 p.m., 12 p.m., 11 a.m. That is where I will draw my red line, okay? And last but not least for the time is the fixed duration. So an example of fixed duration, a job stream that might run multiple times during the day, and it needs to be done, or it shouldn't exceed more than 1 hour's worth of time. So that's a very good example of where I would use fixed duration. Probably 80% or better for SLA management. Most people use end time, but here are your options, okay? Now, alert criteria. Alerts are generated per job stream. You can have 500 job streams, and all 500 will have or not have alerts. They are not shared. They are specific to the job stream. So we talked about positive and negative. So pretty much being a negative, late, not predicted to finish, exceeded SLA. All right. So those are kind of negatives, and you know, positives are completed, back on track, started, and here's where you can either send these via SNMP trap or an email. So I can actually email this by clicking the email and putting an address or addresses to the people that may be responsible for this job stream that want to be notified when it's late. Okay, you also have the ability to actually change the criticality or the severity of the alert. So maybe on a checkpoint alert, this is my late alert, but if I go down to my checkpoint alert and hit Is it that important for my checkpoint to say critical? But no, it's set to minor, but maybe you want to set it to normal. Okay, so you also have the ability to change the actual severity of the alert. Okay, so that's the definition, the name, the ending job. You give us the ending job, we're going to tell you how many jobs that are in it. We are going to build this Gantt view behind my screen. You do not have to do that. Actual general is where I'm going to actually put it into the specific business areas. And when I am adding this for the first time, I have the ability to include all runs within the last 30 days or a specific amount of runs. Now, what does that mean? That means when you add a job stream, JAWS may have been running and we may have been collecting data for about a year. And if you want to generate a job stream, do you want that whole year's worth of data? It might take a little longer to add the job stream versus, hey, just give me the last 30 days or the last 10 days or since February 1st, 2016. So we just give you that ability based on, how long you want this job stream to take. If you have a year worth of data, it might take 10 or 15 minutes to add a job stream versus 30 days. It might take a minute. Okay? Just wanted to point that out. Late criteria, alert criteria. Straightforward. This is kind of the groundwork of how you build, but yet I use the Analyst tab to kind of show you all of that. So I'm not going to save any changes to this specific job stream, but now what I'm going to do is go to the Monitoring tab. Now the Monitoring tab exists of multiple tabs that you build based on what you want to see. I have running all states, I have schedulers, I have asset management. So what does this mean? Well, maybe you want to build a view or a monitoring tab that has everything that's currently running on all my systems. Over here to the left, we have an edit, which is editing the current tab or monitoring view I'm in, or I can create a new one. So if I actually hit this little plus up here, I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to call it training. And if I want to see, I can spell it right, if I want to see completed jobs, maybe the last 12 hours. What do I want to see? What was completed in the last 12 hours? Maybe I only want to see what's completed in the last 2 hours. Job streams in progress, absolutely. And then forecasted. I can say forecasted for the next 12. I think I just want to see the next 2 hours just so we don't have a lot of clutter. And if I do nothing else, I will get every business area defined to JAWS. But I have the ability to go in the business areas up here and selectively pick. So we're doing this for training. So let's say for training, all we want to see is the database maintenance. Okay, if I click database maintenance, now I'm going to get all of the jobs that are in the database maintenance business area that are completed in the last 2 hours, in progress, and forecasted. Well, look at that. I have none that are in the actual database maintenance area that are completed, currently running, or forecasted to run. So what can I do here? So this may be correct. I may have this training area because I know work's going to start coming in at 8 p.m. at night. Just because there's nothing there doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. But for this demo purposes, I'm going to go ahead and edit it. I'm going to go to business area. I'm going to select all job streams, and I'm going to say, okay, now what I do, again, because this is kind of a tree view, is I picked up everything from all job streams below it. So it's kind of a tree view, and you'll now notice I have multiple job streams here in multiple business areas. Now, you can sort this information any way you want. You can move these fields around. I personally like to move predicted end time all the way over next to where I could see it right away, because you always get those phone calls, hey, when's something going to be done? For an example, Acme Chicago right here, if somebody calls me and say, when is this going to be done? I'm going to say, well, it's going to be done today. It's going to be done at 12:54:39 p.m. Mountain Time. My servers happen to be running in Colorado, so I'm running on Mountain Time. A couple other things I want to show you here. If you notice this little line down the center, anything with a flag to the left is completed. Anything where the flag is kind of right down the center is currently running, and anything with a flag to the right is forecasted. And like I mentioned before, if you hit any of these fields, you can sort. So I can sort type, status, move fields around. I can do any of this I want just by clicking on one of these fields. Now, let's right-click on this job and show it in a Gantt view. I'm looking at Acme, Chicago, okay? It's currently running, all right? When it comes up, there's going to be a couple of different things that you notice here that are different than when we looked at the Analysis tab. Right off the bat, you should notice there is no date and time over here on the right, as before. Again, remember that was history. I can look at a completed date and time of a job. Completed. This is currently running. So how do I know it's currently running? Well, if you take a look at this Gantt chart, you'll see this gray line right down the center. What that gray line is current time. Okay, and if we sat here and stared at this for a couple minutes, that line is actually moving. So for an example, everything to the left of that line is completed. Anything to the right of the line is forecasted, and then what's right down the middle is currently running. Okay, and you can actually right-click on any one of these jobs at any point in time, and you can get job details, you know, how it's defined within the actual scheduler, all kinds of information there. So that's from the monitoring perspective. Kind of Excel-ish looking, more from a technical standpoint. It would be an operator. It would be probably a scheduling or an applications person. But your upper management probably wouldn't use this. Or if you had one of the network control centers, operation fishbowl room, I recommend now using what we call a dashboard. Now, dashboard is a roll-up of all the information under the monitoring tab. So if you take a look at the dashboard, same thing. I have multiple tabs across the top that you can generate for your needs. You either hit a plus or you can actually edit and change your existing one. Well, a couple differences here. This one actually says runs completed in the last 12 hours, in progress, forecasted for the next 12 hours. And I'm looking at all job streams. So you see anything red over here and completed, we actually completed late, we missed our SLA. This is currently running in the center, and everything over here to the right is forecasted. Now, one nice thing about this screen is if you actually look at these, and I can see currently running, and I see currently running late for application, cross-scheduler, I see one here for geographies, but if you actually click on that little number, that is a hyperlink which will create, I picked geographies, I picked late, and now I'll say okay. It will automatically create geographies running late, okay? And they were taken out of the running. So you can see here my flags are down in the center. So now I have the ability to actually look at these and get in a Gantt view and see, well, where am I running late? What percentage am I running late? Is it because I have too much work on a machine? Do I not have enough initiators on the mainframe? So here we can see we're definitely going to miss our SLA because this job is actually going to, its predicted end time that I'm looking at is 12:45:34, which is almost the time we need to be at, and we're nowhere close, okay? But I just wanted to show you that you can monitor this stuff while it's currently running. And again, I just clicked on a hyperlink and it created geographies running late. I no longer need this. I can just click it and it will say, do you want to delete it? And you can say yes or no, and I'm going to say yes. Okay, back to the dashboard. All right, so the dashboard's really used for a high level. If I have it in a big room with 18 people, I don't have to have a guy sitting there at C7 doing LQ. I don't need a person just sitting there staring at AutoSys. I can be alerted, or I can have this up on the board. Somebody can say, hey, by the way, you got red up on your screen. You might want to take a look at it. Okay, that's the dashboard. Just like monitoring a lot more detail. I actually can right-click on any one of these top bars and add additional fields that you may need or not need. I have target job. Maybe you want to see total jobs in a job stream. Or you might have multiple schedulers. You can click scheduler name, and it'll put the actual scheduler's name in there. And then again, you can move these around. Versus the dashboard, again, hyperlinks to create monitoring views, okay? So we're looking at completed, running, and forecasted. Right. Now, let's talk about reporting. So reporting, I'm going to close these up. Out of the box, we send you 6 templates, okay? And these are the 6 templates as I close them up. Each template, you can see I have multiple reports that I have generated. So the reports that you get out of the box are job stream summary. So job stream summary is what we've been looking at, job streams. Show me job stream Asia Pac, and I can look at job stream Asia Pac and show me how it's ran for the last 6 months, okay? So it gives you the ability to actually use it for SLA management. How have I been doing with my Asia Pac for the last 6 months, 3 months, 7 days, 10 days? And it'll give you a very nice report telling you how it's actually running, and can give it to you in a graphical representation as well. Job stream detail is kind of like the job stream summary, but a lot more information. We have design delay, finish to start delay, operational delays, started, ended times. So that report would be more for kind of a post-mortem. What actually happened? Give me the data I need to determine what happened with my job stream or my SLA. Then processing load. Processing load is for your scheduler. It gives you within a certain period of time how busy your scheduler is. Example, maybe you want to add 1,000 jobs at midnight. If you ran this report and looked at your scheduler at midnight and say, you know what, it's really busy at midnight, at least from a scheduler point of view, maybe it might want to move this till 1 a.m. or make it earlier 11. So it kind of shows you the load that's going through your scheduler. And then termination status. Has nothing to do with job streams. This is a termination status report for a specific job or jobs. So for an example, if I opened up the termination status and I actually grabbed the report and I wanted to edit this report, all I did was right-click, you can pick a specific job, multiple jobs, date and times, to and from, what columns I want to see. In this example, I can say I want to look at specific job name. So within the jobs parameter, I do have job name here. I can say okay. I can do multiple, starts with, ends with. So I can use this to say, show me what the termination status is of my PAY jobs and my HR jobs over the last 6 months. And then we see if what type of status you want to look at. Have they failed? How many failed in the last 6 months? So a very, very powerful report, especially when you're doing some kind of auditing and people want to know exactly how jobs have been running. Now, the critical path history is the actual trending by critical path are the red lines that I showed you in the gap view, which is my critical path. You can actually use it to see if your critical path is trending longer over time. So maybe you want to see, hey, how is my critical path for job stream XYZ been doing over the last 6 months? Is it increasing by 10%, decreasing by 10%? And that kind of gives you a heads up way ahead of time that, by the way, my critical path has been creeping about 10 minutes every month. So it's nice to have that information 6 months or a year ahead of time than the day it actually finally catch up to your end time. So we're going to give you some kind of proactive reporting to actually look at the critical path. And last but not least is the trending by job run history. Again, a job report. I want to trend a job, maybe job ABC 100. I want to see how it's ran over the last 6 months. Is it trending longer, trending shorter? Okay, so that's just a very high level of out-of-the-box reports. Last but not least, I don't talk a lot about this from the administrative point of view, but this is where I have my schedulers, my job streams, my business area user management. Those are the 4 majors. So what is schedulers? Well, you can see here I have 4 schedulers defined. Job streams, this is where I can actually add or edit specific job streams. And there are several other places you can build job streams, but this is from the administration tab. Business areas, okay? Here are the business areas. I can actually add, edit, and change. You can see here I got a plus, a minus, or an edit, the pencil being edit. And then user management. Okay, user management by default, out of the box, we give you a JAWS domain. You can see it says built in. But you'll also see a domain below it called EEM Scranton. So if you are using EEM or LDAP, that would be the way you log into the system. In this example, we have both. We still have our JAWS built-in data set, and this is where you would actually handle all of your administration type user functions. Okay, so kind of in a summary, I'm going to start where I started with. Analysis tab already happened. Postmortem type work. You can see my actual Gantt view. I can actually see my average duration and my end time. Monitoring. Show me what's currently running, scheduled to run, or actually forecasted to run. Multiple tabs, multiple meetings, and these belong to the individual user. If you go ahead and delete the training view here, it does not affect anybody but you. Your ID has no longer has a training. And then dashboard, the actual roll-up of all that information, followed by the 6 CAN reports we talked about, very high level, and then also the admin screen. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the demo. Thank you.